So have you seen what happened at Gettysburg College, where a young man on the swim team, a young black man on the swim team, was held down by other swim team members, supposedly, white boys, who held him down and used a box cutter to carve the N-word into his chest. Have you heard about this one? If not, pause this video, go look that up, and then come back and listen to what I have to fucking say about this. Because I'm going to tie this in to our leadership in this country. I'm going to tie this in to our government and the people running for president and the current president of the United States. Now, stay with me so you can see how I'm going to tie this in. So first of all, if you haven't woken up enough yet, then what you'll take from this horrific act of violence against this young man, which obviously, it is a hate crime, it is a form of racism, we know this. Now here's the trap. Here's the trap. And here's how you know if you're still unawakened and you're still a puppet of our psychotic system that creates this kind of shit. See, this is the brainwashing of our government, of the leaders of the world, all these psychopaths, the 60 to 100 families that rule the entire world in a cult-like, psychopathic kind of way. This is the third dimensional matrix at play here, because it is nothing but programming and brainwashing. I have said this a million times, and I'm going to say it again. All of this type of brainwashing, this patriarchal, because that's what it is, this is patriarch, guys. Patriarch brainwashes men to become monsters, to become violent, to butcher another young man because of his skin color. This is the result of patriarchy, okay? Now, what should happen? Let me tell you, if I was president of the United States, I'm running, by the way, in case you didn't know. Of course you wouldn't know, because our systems that are set in place wouldn't allow somebody like me that would handle this kind of shit in the right way, in a more powerful way, to ever be a leader. That's up to us, we the people. So hopefully y'all wake up enough in time that we can change what our government is. Let me tell you what I would do if I was the leader of this country. First of all, that poor victim and that victim's family would never have the burden of pressing charges. They shouldn't have to. All of those boys, whoever was involved in standing around watching, not doing anything, and the ones who held him down, and the ones who did the torture and the box cutting with a box cutter, carving his flesh, not only would they be expelled from school. See, shouldn't be up to the school. If Gettysburg, if that school hasn't expelled these kids, which as of now they haven't, they haven't done that yet, what does that say about the damn school? What does that tell you about who's running that school, first of all? So, they should be expelled immediately, and you know what should happen to them? And I know some of you are like, put them in jail, prison. Oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put them there. Not that they haven't, in a karmic way, deserved to go there. Of course they deserve to go there, because they're going to end up being raped like little bitches in prison, because that's what violent men do to other violent men. That's what you do when you go there. And then you're going to experience real karma, aren't you? Because you're going to see what it feels like to be held down and be forced into something. That's what's going to happen to you in prison. It really is. And a lot of you would be like, well, send him to prison and let what's supposed to happen karmically going to happen. Well, I believe that they should immediately be put into a mental institution. Because if you are that disturbed, if you are that psychopathic, that you could induce and act out that level of bodily harm, that kind of hate, because somebody's skin is darker than your skin. Do you realize how mentally ill you are? And yet, this is the brainwashing of what they do to us as a collective. This is patriarchy brainwashing, turning little boys into fucking monsters. Do you understand? This is part of the bigger design. This is what they do with their brainwashing. So this goes bigger than just a few racist kids at this school. This is much bigger than that. And if you are waking up for real, you would understand what I'm saying is bigger than that. And if we had real leaders of this country, they would take those boys, they would be permanently expelled, they would be put in mental institutions because they are fucking psychotic and mentally ill. They are not stable enough to be trusted around other people. They are unsafe. This is what we turn boys and men into while we're being ruled by patriarchal psychopaths. Boys and men are unsafe in this world. Pick a country, pick a city, pick a university or a college. There are boys and men running around unsafe. Pick a goddamn high school, for Christ's sake, or an elementary school. Boys are running around shooting up and murdering other kids and their teachers. And then we call it a gun control problem. Well, girls aren't running around doing it. So how's it a gun control problem when boys are the ones doing these violent acts? And it's part of the brainwashing. It's part of the brainwashing of the bigger problem that we have here. So if I were leader of this country, those boys would be expelled permanently. Never, ever could they attend a university ever again. Online, sure, where you're not around other people that you could do harm to. You want to keep educating yourself. That's absolutely fine, but only online. And you'll do it from the mental institution that you will now be bound to, most likely for the rest of your lives. So until that boy with all the scarring, you know what else we would do? I would do as leader if I were president? All medical bills would be paid for by the government. By the government. That includes any type of plastic surgery, anything that that poor boy needs to go through in order to get whatever happened here, whatever kind of scarring, so you can't tell what it ever said, off of his chest, off of his flesh, off of his body. The government should pay for that. Okay? That's the next thing that's going to happen. You know what else would happen if I were president? This boy gets to choose any university in this entire country. Any university that he wants to attend and go to is paid for by our government. His education gets paid for. And you know what? If he gets that college degree paid for by our government, if he chooses to get a master's degree, that's paid for by our government. If he goes on to get a doctorate, that should be paid for by our government. That's what I would do. And you know what we should do, we the people? Demand that our government offer that to this boy and handle those other boys that did this to him. Demand it. Number two, what we the people can do right here, right now, call Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. Call them. If every single person in this fucking country called that college one time a day, guess what they would be flooded with? Call that college and demand those boys be expelled and demand justice. Demand that Gettysburg itself offers the rest of that kid's, the victim's college education be paid for free. He should get a full ride there. Demand it. Because if we had real leaders of this country that come from awakened spiritual aspects of oneness consciousness, and we had an injustice like this, this is how we would handle things. I am a spiritual leader, and this is how I would handle it. How would you handle it? We can band together to make sure people do the elevated thing when something like this happens. Not just ride in the streets. Don't sink to lower levels of consciousness. That doesn't do jack shit. Have you not learned by now? We can do other things, though. And you can think into the future of who you want running your country. Who are the leaders that you want to put in place? Because the hate, the violence, no more. We should have zero tolerance. At this phase of the game and awakening, zero tolerance for this kind of crap. Who are you electing to be your leaders that would actually handle? How would they handle this? I am telling you how I would handle it. Now let's look at our leaders and see how they handle it. Who do you want in government? Who do you want in government? And if it's unacceptable, the people we have right now, then we, the people, need to make the changes to make sure that stuff like this no longer happens. And if it does, the way we're going to handle it has to come from a more elevated place. This is what I would do. What would you do?